All right, buckle up, everybody. We're diving deep today
Oh, yeah.
into some seriously fascinating ideas about leadership and capitalism.
I love this stuff.
We're exploring the work of Swetlana AI,
Okay.
and
Interesting name.
she is a human, despite the AI part of that name.
I was going to say, with a name like that.
I know, right?
That I ask.
She's a linguist, writer, and experimental artist.
Wow.
This paper that we're going to be looking at is available on her website.
Oh, cool.
It's swetlana.com.
All right, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's a fascinating piece.
Yeah, what really struck me was how she connects the dots between individual CEO behavior and like these larger systems that we operate in.
Kind of like zoom in, zoom out kind of view. Right?
Exactly, yeah.
So Swetlana AI argues that a lot of CEOs might be, well, tripping on their own egos, and that's actually hurting their companies.
She doesn't hold back.
No, she does not.
She uses figures like Steve Jobs and Henry Ford
Oh, wow. Big name.
as examples.
Okay.
While brilliant, both made ego-driven decisions that ultimately damaged their companies.
Okay, so are you saying that any level of ego is bad for a leader? Or is a little bit of ego actually necessary to be successful?
That's a good question. I
Yeah.
think it's an interesting question.
Yeah.
Swetlana AI doesn't give a definitive yes or no.
Okay.
What she does highlight
Okay.
is the danger of what's called hubris syndrome.
Hubris syndrome.
Yeah.
Okay. I've never heard of that.
Where powerful leaders lose touch with reality,
Oh,
believing they're above accountability.
that sounds intense.
It is.
What are the real world consequences of
Yeah.
that? Is it just bad decisions or does it go deeper?
I think it definitely goes deeper.
Okay.
Think of it like this.
All right.
A CEO with hubris syndrome might surround themselves with yes men,
Oh, yeah. Classic.
squashing any dissenting voices.
Anyone who disagrees, gone.
Innovation stagnates.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Risks get ignored, and eventually the company suffers.
So it's not just about the CEO's individual decisions.
Right.
It's about how their ego shapes the whole company culture.
A whole thing. Yeah.
That's scary.
Absolutely. It creates a ripple effect
Yeah.
that impacts every level of the organization.
All right, so let's say we've got a CEO who's clearly letting their ego drive the bus.
Okay.
Is there any hope for them? Can they change? Or are they doomed to crash and burn?
Well, I think Swetlana AI
Yeah.
seems to believe that change is possible,
Okay.
but it requires a pretty significant shift in mindset.
I bet.
She lays out a multi-pronged approach,
Oh.
starting with self-awareness.
Oh.
The CEO has to actually recognize
Oh.
that their ego is the problem.
That sounds like the hardest.
Yeah, it is a tough one.
How do you get someone to see their own blind spots?
Right.
Especially when they're at the top of the food chain.
It's definitely not easy.
Yeah.
But she suggests techniques like seeking candid feedback
Oh, interesting.
from trusted advisors.
So people they actually respect and will listen to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Engaging in honest self-reflection.
Ooh, that's tough.
That's a hard one.
Especially for someone like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe even working with a coach or therapist
Really?
who specializes in leadership development.
Okay, so let's say the CEO has that aha moment
Okay.
and realizes, wow, my ego is out of control.
All right.
What's next?
From there, it's about cultivating humility,
Okay.
actively engaging with stakeholders,
Uh-huh.
and fostering a culture of responsibility.
Okay, let's break that down a bit.
Sure.
What does actively engaging with stakeholders
Yeah.
look like in practice?
So imagine a company
Okay.
that's deciding to launch a new product.
Yeah.
An ego-driven CEO might rush it to market,
Get out there, profits.
focus solely on profits and beating the competition.
Right.
A responsible leader, on the other hand,
Yeah.
would engage with different stakeholders,
Okay.
customers,
Uh-huh.
employees,
Employees, okay.
suppliers, even
Yeah.
the community where the product will be manufactured
Wow.
or used.
So everyone who's going to be affected by it.
Yeah, it's about understanding the potential impact on all these groups and incorporating their perspectives into the decision-making process.
So it's about seeing the bigger picture,
Exactly.
not just the bottom line.
Right.
But isn't that really difficult to do in a fast-paced business environment?
It is. It is.
Like, how do you balance all these competing interests?
That's the challenge.
Yeah.
But Swetlana AI argues that this is where leadership skills really come into play.
So it's not just about, like,
Right.
charisma or whatever. It's like actual skill.
It's deeper than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The ability to listen,
Okay.
to empathize,
Right.
to build consensus.
And to make hard decisions that
Yeah.
are good for everyone, not just the CEO.
Exactly.
Okay, I see your point, but I can already hear some CEOs pushing back saying,
Yeah.
this is all well and good, but my primary responsibility
Right.
is to maximize shareholder value.
Yeah.
How do you respond to that?
It's a common argument.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think Swetlana AI would argue that it's a short-sighted view.
Okay.
Focusing solely on shareholder value
Yeah.
often leads to decisions that are detrimental to employees,
Okay.
customers, and the environment,
Right.
which can ultimately hurt the company in the long run.
So it's about recognizing that a company's success isn't just measured in dollars and cents.
Right.
It's also about its impact on the world around it.
Exactly. And this is where her argument
Thanks.
starts to connect with the bigger picture of capitalism itself.
Okay, this is getting good.
She suggests that even if we magically transform every CEO into a responsible leader,
Right.
it might not be enough.
Oh, wow.
We need to think about reshaping the entire system.
Whoa, hold on.
Yeah,
Reshaping capitalism.
that's a big one.
That's a pretty bold statement.
It is.
I'm really curious to hear where she goes with this.
Me too.
So that's where we'll pick up in the next part of our deep dive.
Looking forward to it.
But before we move on, I'm curious what resonates with you so far.
Honestly, I'm really struck by the idea that a CEO's ego
Yeah,
can be so detrimental
it can make or break a company.
to a company.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that leadership isn't just about intelligence
Yeah.
or charisma.
It's got to be more.
It's about character
Right.
and a deep sense of responsibility.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's about recognizing that true leadership is a form of service,
Yes.
not just a path to power or personal gain.
I love that.
All right, listener.
Okay.
We're about to dive even deeper
Let's go.
into Swetlana AI's ideas about reshaping capitalism.
Can't wait.
Stay tuned for part 2.
All right. Okay, so we left off talking about Swetlana AI's argument that changing individual CEOs
Yeah,
might not be enough.
huge statement.
Yeah, she's calling for a much bigger shift.
Okay.
Reshaping capitalism itself.
All right, so that's a big idea to wrap our heads around.
It is.
What does she actually propose? Like, does she offer
Yeah.
concrete steps for achieving this systemic change?
She does get into specifics.
Okay, good, because otherwise it's just like,
Right.
pie in the sky kind of thing.
It's all theoretical.
Yeah.
One of the most interesting is reforming education,
Okay.
especially business schools.
Interesting.
She argues that future CEOs need to be taught to value things like ethics,
Okay.
sustainability, and stakeholder engagement
So like from the beginning.
right from the start.
Yeah. I'm really glad she brought that up
Yeah.
because it makes me think back to my own business education.
Oh, yeah.
It was all about maximizing shareholder value.
Right.
No matter what.
The bottom line.
Like if that's the foundation,
Yeah.
is it any wonder we end up with CEOs who prioritize profits
Right.
over people and the planet?
That's exactly Swetlana AI's point.
Yeah.
She sees that kind of thinking
Yeah.
as a root cause of the problems we're facing.
So it's not enough to just have like
Right.
an optional ethics course.
Yeah, like an elective. Yeah.
Or a lecture on corporate social responsibility.
Exactly. These ideas need to be woven into the core curriculum.
So it's like literally changing
yeah.
how we teach business.
It's a different framework.
Yeah. So future leaders are graduating with a different definition of success.
Exactly.
One that includes social and environmental impact
Yes.
alongside financial performance.
Precisely. And she also talks about the need for universities to foster critical thinking
Oh, interesting.
about the role of business in society,
So not just like,
not just the mechanics of it.
yeah, how to make money, but like
Right. It's about asking those tough questions.
what?
What is the purpose of a corporation?
Ooh, that's a big one.
Who are we serving?
Yeah.
What are our responsibilities to the planet
Right.
and to future generations?
Those are questions that a lot of companies
Right.
probably don't want to answer.
He might shy away from those.
Yeah, but if we're going to reshape capitalism,
Yeah.
shouldn't those be the starting point?
I think so. Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got education
Okay.
and, reforming business school.
Right.
But education is just one piece of the puzzle.
It is.
Solana AI also points to the role of government
Yes.
in creating a more conducive environment
Right.
for responsible management.
For sure.
So are we talking about policy changes,
Yeah.
regulations, that kind of thing?
That's right.
I mean, isn't that where things get really tricky?
It can be a minefield for sure.
Yeah.
But she argues that governments have a responsibility to incentivize sustainable practices,
Okay.
promote ethical conduct, and ensure fair competition
Oh,
through a variety of policy levers.
So like what? Give me an example.
Think about things like carbon taxes,
Okay, yeah.
stricter environmental regulations,
Right.
or tax breaks for companies that invest in renewable energy.
So like using the government's power
Exactly.
to kind of push things in the right
To
direction.
create the right incentives.
Okay. It sounds like she's calling for a pretty active role
She is.
for government, which I'm sure will be controversial.
It will be in some circles.
Yeah, in some circles. But if we're talking about reshaping the entire system,
Yeah.
maybe that level of intervention is necessary.
It's a big debate.
Yeah.
Some argue that the free market
Right.
will naturally correct itself.
Like it'll all just work out.
Right. But Swetlana AI seems to believe that government intervention is essential to
Interesting.
level the playing field
Okay.
and create the right incentives for responsible behavior.
Okay, so we've got education,
Yeah,
we've got government policy.
right.
What else does Swetlana AI see as crucial
Mm.
for reshaping capitalism?
She emphasizes the power of stakeholders
Okay.
to drive change.
Stakeholders, so like
Consumers, investors, and employees all have a role to play.
wow, so
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
in holding companies accountable
Exactly.
for their social and environmental impact.
Yes, and that's a point I
Yeah.
think a lot of people can connect with.
It's not just about waiting for CEOs or governments to do the right thing
Exactly. It's about us as individuals
Yeah.
using our voices
in our wallets.
and our choices to demand better from the businesses we interact with.
I love that.
Yeah?
Think about the growing movement towards conscious consumerism,
Uh-huh.
where people are actively choosing to buy from companies
Yes.
that align with their values.
I love that.
Or the rise of impact investing,
Yes.
where investors are putting their money
Right.
into businesses that are making a positive difference.
Exactly.
Those are powerful trends,
They are,
and they're growing all the time.
for sure.
But how do we ensure that they're not just niche movements?
Right.
Like, how do we make responsible business the norm,
Yeah.
not the exception?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
Swetlana AI argues that it requires a fundamental shift in mindset,
Okay.
not just from CEOs and investors, but from all of us.
So like a collective
Yeah,
mindset shift.
exactly. It's about recognizing that business isn't just about profit.
Right.
It's about creating value
For everyone.
for all stakeholders,
And the planet.
including the planet itself.
That sounds pretty idealistic.
It does.
Do you think it's actually achievable?
It's certainly a daunting task,
Yeah.
but I think Swetlana AI is right to point out
Yeah.
that the status quo,
Like just keeping things the way they are?
the way things are,
Yeah.
is simply not sustainable.
We can't keep doing what we're doing.
We can't. We're facing too many urgent challenges.
Like what?
Climate change,
Oh, yeah, the big one.
inequality,
Right.
social unrest,
All the things.
to continue with business as usual.
I agree.
Yeah,
It's easy to get overwhelmed
it is.
by the scale of the problem.
Yeah, it's massive.
Do you think Swetlana AI offers any reasons for optimism?
She does highlight some inspiring examples
Oh, good.
of companies that are already putting responsible management practices
Okay, so
like, into action,
it's not just a theory.
proving that it's not just a pipe dream.
Okay, so real companies doing real things.
Real world stuff.
Give me an example.
Take Google, for example.
Okay, huge company, Google.
They've made a commitment
Okay.
to operate on 2047 carbon-free energy by 2030.
That's ambitious.
It is.
And it's coming from a company that's often criticized
Right.
for its environmental footprint.
Exactly. So they're really stepping up.
Okay, what about other examples?
Yeah.
Are there companies out there who are really walking the walk
Yes.
when it comes to ethical sourcing
Yeah.
and fair labor practices?
Absolutely. Starbucks, for example,
Okay, another huge company.
has their coffee and farmer equity program,
That's a mouthful.
which supports coffee farmers,
Okay.
promotes sustainable agriculture,
All right.
and ensures fair labor practices.
That's great because coffee is one of those products
It is.
where exploitation and unfair labor practices
Oh, yeah.
have been rampant.
For a long time.
Yeah. Are there any other companies you would point to as leaders in this area?
Patagonia is another company.
Okay, Patagonia, I know them.
That's widely recognized for its commitment
Okay.
to ethical sourcing.
Yeah.
They use recycled materials,
That's-
support fair labor practices, and are incredibly transparent about their entire supply chain.
So you can like literally trace it back.
Yeah, it's all out there.
Okay. It sounds like they're really trying to go beyond just greenwashing.
Right.
And make genuine changes.
Real changes.
The way they do business.
They've been doing it for years.
Wow.
And they're still pushing the boundaries.
That's great.
But it's not just about environmental and social responsibility.
Okay.
There are companies that are really focused on community engagement.
Okay. Interesting. Like what?
Like the Walt Disney Company.
Okay, Disney, yeah.
They've got a long history of supporting communities through volunteer programs, grants, and initiatives that promote education and creativity.
So it's like they're using their platform and their resources to give back.
Exactly.
That's great.
And then you've got companies like Tom M's.
Oh, yeah. Tom, that's the shoes.
Who are known for their one-for-one business model.
Oh, yeah. Right?
For every pair of shoes purchased, they donate a pair to a child in need.
I love that. So you're like literally helping someone.
Right. It's built into the model.
While you're buying something for yourself.
Exactly.
That's a powerful way to use business as a force for good.
It is.
Directly addressing social issues.
Right.
Through the products and services.
I love these real-world examples.
Me too.
It's so easy to get caught up in the theoretical side.
Of reshaping capitalism.
Yeah.
But seeing companies actually doing it gives me hope that real change is possible.
It's definitely encouraging.
Yeah.
And Swetlana AI also highlights the importance of the media.
Oh, interesting.
In driving this change.
Okay.
She specifically mentions the Washington Post as an example of a media organization that's using its platform to raise awareness about social issues, promote responsible journalism, and advocate for positive change.
It makes you realize how important it is to have media outlets that are willing to hold powerful institutions accountable.
For sure.
And shine a light on issues that might otherwise be swept under the rug.
Absolutely. And by raising awareness, they can help to shift public opinion.
And maybe even policy.
Exactly, and create the pressure needed for systemic change.
Yeah, so the media plays a huge role.
Huge role.
In all of this.
Yeah, Swetlana AI also highlights the work of several thought leaders.
Thought leaders, so like...
Oh, we're really pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
And coming up with innovative solutions.
So not just talking about the problem.
Right, offering solutions.
Yeah, I'm always interested in hearing about new voices and perspectives.
Yeah.
Who are some of the people she mentions?
One of them is Casper Benjamin Reimer Gierkschaft.
Wow, that's a name.
It is a big proponent of regenerative leadership and inclusive design.
Okay, those are two terms we hear a lot these days.
Yeah, they are buzzwords.
So can you break them down for us?
Sure.
Like, what do they actually mean in practice? Regenerative leadership and inclusive design. Those sound like pretty buzzworthy concepts.
They are.
What do they actually mean in practice?
So regenerative leadership is all about creating systems that are not just sustainable, but actually restorative.
Okay, so like give back more.
It's about going beyond simply minimizing harm.
Right.
And actively working to regenerate the planet and its resources.
So it's not just like doing less bad.
Right, it's about actually making things better.
Okay, I like that. What about inclusive design?
Yeah, inclusive design is about creating products, services, and environments that are accessible and usable by people of all abilities and backgrounds.
So it's about recognizing that diversity is a strength.
Exactly.
And that we need to design for everyone, not just the average user.
Yeah, it's about designing for the edges, not just the center.
I love that it's about breaking down barriers and creating a more just and inclusive world.
Absolutely.
Are there any other thought leaders Swetlana AI mentions that we should know about?
Yes. She highlights the work of Dr. Martina Olbert, who is an expert on meaningful leadership.
Meaningful leadership.
Sustainability and social innovation.
Okay, so break that down for us. What does meaningful leadership entail?
It's about leading with purpose and intention. Aligning your actions with your values.
So walking the walk.
Exactly. Olbert believes that true leadership isn't about power or control. It's about inspiring and empowering others.
To actually make a difference.
To create positive change.
So it's about that triple bottom line, people, planet, and profit.
Exactly. And another thought leader Swetlana AI mentions is Professor David Loosby, who specializes in corporate social responsibility, procurement, and organizational transformation.
So he's looking at the whole picture.
The whole system, yeah. He's particularly interested in how companies can integrate social responsibility into their supply chains.
That's so important because even if a company is doing great things in their own operations, if they're turning a blind eye to exploitation or environmental degradation in their supply chain, they're not truly being responsible.
Exactly. And Loosby is also an expert on organizational transformation.
Okay.
Helping companies to move from a traditional profit-driven model to a more holistic, purpose-driven approach.
So it's not just about changing like one little thing.
No, it's about a fundamental shift.
Wow, this deep dive has really taken us on a journey.
It has.
We've gone from the pitfalls of ego-driven leadership to the promise of responsible management.
Yeah.
From individual transformation to systemic change.
Big picture stuff.
From theoretical concepts to real-world examples.
Yeah.
My mind is swirling with all these new ideas.
Mine too. It's been a fascinating exploration of the intersection of business, ethics, and sustainability.
It's all connected.
It really is. And Swetlana AI's paper really challenges us to think differently about the role of business in society.
So as we wrap up this epic deep dive, what's the one thing our listeners should take away from all this?
I think the biggest takeaway is that we all have a role to play in creating a more responsible and sustainable future.
It's not just on the CEOs.
It's on all of us.
Whether you're a CEO, an employee,
a consumer,
an investor,
just a concerned citizen,
anyone.
You have the power to demand better from the businesses you interact with.
I love that it's a message of empowerment.
It is.
Reminding us that we're not powerless in the face of these huge systemic challenges.
We have a voice.
We can choose to support businesses that align with our values.
Yes.
We can use our voices to advocate for change.
Absolutely.
And we can make conscious decisions about how we consume and invest.
Our choices matter.
Exactly. And if enough of us do that, we can create a ripple effect that can ultimately lead to the kind of systemic transformation that Swetlana AI is calling for.
That's a beautiful thought.
It is, and it's a great note to end on.
Yeah.
So dear listeners, if you're feeling inspired to learn more about Swetlana AI's work,
check her out.
Head over to her website, swetlana.com. You can find her full research paper there.
All the details.
Along with other thought-provoking pieces on the intersection of language, art, and social change.
Awesome.
And if this deep dive has sparked your own ideas for how to create a more responsible and sustainable future, don't keep them to yourself.
Share them.
Share them with the world.
Start conversations.
Start conversations. Take action.
Let's do it.
Together we can make a difference.
I love it.
That's right. Let's keep those brains buzzing.
Thinking.
Those hearts open. And those actions aligned with our values.
Beautiful.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep striving for a better world.
See you next time.